Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad. This is the Firefighter's Financial Toolbox. I always try to show you interesting tools that I find online, especially when they're free, because to me, having options to look at things for free is the best way to do it. And one of my favorite sites that I use a lot is smartasset.com. And today we're going to talk about smartasset.com's their capital gains tax calculator. It's a pretty cool tool. The nice thing is not only does it show you federal taxes, it shows you state taxes as well. So it's kind of a cool tool. Anyway, so here we are, as I said, smartasset.com. So let's say, for example, that I bought an investment, $1,000 in ABC Corporation. Now, it doesn't really matter what it was, right? But let's say I bought the stock for $1,000 and I sold it. I doubled my money. Oops. Double my money. And let's say that I did it in 9 months. So I had a great run up. I'd sold when I was making money. Boom. Now I'm going to use Phoenix as my home, for example, first. And let's say that I'm single and I make $85,000. Okay. Remember, I've had it, less than a year. Less than a year. There we go. Single, 85 in Phoenix. So, first of all, because I'm single and this is less than a year, it's a short-term capital gain. And we're going to get into the charts here in a minute. But as somebody who makes $85,000 single, that puts me in the 22% tax bracket, right? So that means that I'm paying 22% on that money to the feds. I'm also paying 4.17% to the state of Arizona. So my taxes on that money for making $1,000 will be $262, which isn't terrible, right? But let's say, for example, that it was a bigger amount. Let's say I bought in for $10,000 and I sold it for $20,000. Oops. Keeps changing back. $20,000. Okay. Still, let's hold it less than 1 year. Now, let's take a look at the taxes. It's going to be a little bit higher this time. Less than a year, single. My capital gains on that would be $2,617. Now, doesn't seem terrible, right? As a single guy, not too bad. But let's see if I had the same investment and I held it for a year. Let's say I made the money in 9 months, but I decided I wanted to save money on taxes, so I kept it over a year. Now I'm only going to pay $1,917. You notice my marginal tax rate, because it became a long-term capital gain, dropped me down to 15%. Now, the state tax in Arizona didn't change, right? It is what it is. So you guys know I split my time between Arizona and Oregon. So let's change this to Portland, Oregon, home of big state taxes. Now let's say I'm making better money now. Let's say I make 100,000. Okay, still the same thing, $10,000 investment. Let's go back to less than a year. So bought that ABC Corporation and went to the moon. I'm going to sell and take the gains. Look at this. Now I owe $3,372 in taxes because now I'm in the 24% tax bracket, right? So the effective rate on that is 23.82, but look at the state tax in Oregon. Oregon does not give any breaks at all on short-term or long-term capital gains. So 9.9%. So that's $990 I got to pay to the state of Oregon for the same sale. Now, what if I went and held this for longer than a year? Now, you notice it did cut my bill from the state down from 24% to 15%, which is a savings of 9%. That's huge, right? State of Oregon's still getting their 9.9%. But it shows you when you look at the difference in the federal capital gains, less than a year, that money would have cost to the feds $2,382, where if I hold it more than a year, it's only $1,500. State, $990, both sides. Now let's take a look at the income tax brackets. So let's start with single here. So you see, if you're a single person and you make up to $10,275, you're in 10%. But if you look at the bulk of people, they're going to be probably in the 22 to 24%. Now, nice thing if you make less than 41,675, you actually pay 0 on long-term capital gains rates. Now, if that's the case, kudos, right? But for the most part, if you're in the 12 to up to the top of the 32% bracket, which is $215,950 for a single person, you're only paying 15% on that money if you hold it more than a year. This is why it's really important to understand this stuff. So let's go down to the married filing jointly. Now, obviously, married filing jointly is a little bit longer, a little bit higher numbers, right? Now, if you make up to $83,350 as a married couple filing jointly, you pay 0 on those long-term gains, where you could be paying 12% on them if you sold them short-term. Now, I would say the bulk of the people out there in vacation land are probably in the 22% bracket. So by holding that longer, you're saving 7%. If you're in the 24% bracket, you're saving 9%. But here's where it gets even better. You could be in the 32% bracket. Up to $517,200 and still only pay 15%. So if you think about it, that puts you in the middle of the 35% tax bracket. You could save 20% on federal taxes by holding it longer than a year. You guys, now remember, this is in a taxable account. If you hold it in an IRA or a 401k, those are tax deferred accounts. This doesn't apply. This is when you get into actual having a brokerage account that's taxable. So it's after tax money that you've put in. You've already maxed out your Roth. You've already put away your 401k money. This is the money in your brokerage account. But it's very important that you understand the difference between holding that for a year or less and 1 year plus 1 day or more, because the taxes could be huge. So let's go back to our last page. So let's say that I've been investing for a long time, okay? And I started out and I had $50,000. All right. Now I've had this account for, let's say, 15 years, right? And now it's grown to $125,000, okay? Once again, more than a year. We're going to go with Portland. Now let's say that we are a married couple and we make about $150,000 and we're married. So we've held, this thing keeps changing back, sorry. We're married. Okay, so I've made $75,000 over that time. I decided I'm going to sell. Now you see, 15% tax break. If I was making $150,000, you guys, I would be towards the top of the 22%. So I'm saving 7% by doing that. In Oregon, it's gone down a little bit. I'm only at 8.75%. But you see, I owe $17,813. Now let's take a look what it would look like if I had held it less than a year. My federal tax would be $16,964. So you guys, you can see I've saved about $5,700 and change, a little bit more than that, but about $5,700 in federal tax. That's huge. Oh, here you go. You would save $5,714 or 24% by waiting more than a year selling this investment. Now, I realize it's unrealistic that most people are going to make that kind of money on a stock in a year. But it happens, you guys. When I bought my Tesla stock, I bought 2 shares at $220 a piece. And when I sold them, they had gone after the split, and I sold 5 of my shares, which would have been 1, which I bought for $220, and I sold it for $4,000. Now, that was about 2.5 years later, but it happened. Um, there are exceptions to the rule. You could get in and you could buy something really cheap and sell it at a profit. Just be mindful of the taxes, because taxes are the biggest expense you're going to have in your life. So finding a way to legally not pay more than you have to is important, you guys. And this is a cool tool, free, like I said, online at smartasset.com. Anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this. If you did, do me a favor, drop me a like. If you're not already subscribed, you know the deal. Hit the red button, ring the bell. All right, we'll see you. Thanks.